What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Dual Sense podcast. This is episode 6. I'm one of your co hosts, Jason. I'm joined as always by Travis. Trav, what's going on today?
Not much, just sunbathing and checking out all the yardbirds.
Are you having college flashbacks? What's the deal?
Yeah, there's not any yardbirds in my neighborhood. I don't know why I went with that. I'm just dreaming. I'm over here dreaming.
Well, Travis, for the uninitiated, this is a PlayStation podcast, a weekly PlayStation podcast where you and I get together and we discuss all of the news for PlayStation, all the upcoming games, rumors, and sometimes a little bit more. If you guys like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and maybe share us with a friend. You can find us on all the popular podcasting platforms, and we post every Sunday. So, Travis, why don't you get us kicked off here? Talk to me about what you've been playing this week.
I've only played two games, and one, I guess we played Modern Warfare.
Hmm.
I think we played that one day. I destroyed a couple of kids the first few games, pretty much completely out of the ordinary. Typically, I'm about 500, and I went like 20-4. I don't know what happened. Anyway, other than that, all I've been playing is Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima.
And and tell me what do you think about it so far?
How far into the weeds do you want to go?
Well, we're going to talk about it here in just a little bit in the news. So, just give me your flyover.
The more you play it, and you've said this, but the
Hmm.
more I play it, the more I enjoy it. And I'm a little surprised by that. Not necessarily surprised, but it's probably the most fun I've had playing a game since Red Dead, or the most interest I've had in playing a game since Red Dead. Not that the other games aren't fun, but this is a different type of feel when you play. Do you follow what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I think they have a lot of nice touches that maybe, again, I didn't necessarily expect. I didn't watch a lot about the game beforehand because I didn't want to ruin kind of my expectations. The same thing that we
Right.
do with movie trailers.
Yeah.
But I like how minimal the HUD is. I like that there's not a mini map. You have to pull up the map. I like that.
Yeah.
More than I thought it would. I was worried at first, like, man, this is gonna be weird, but I don't even notice it. And I like the little details, like the way you clean your sword off, the way that the NPCs interact. And I don't know if you've had this happen yet, but I've had encounters with NPCs in missions, and then I've found them later on at a temple or at a camp,
Yeah.
and I've talked to
Hmm.
them, and I haven't gotten a mission, but I've talked to them, and they've kind of told me what they've been up to, or the journey has been like for them since I last saw them, and I thought that was really neat. It kind of gives it a depth that I guess I didn't expect Sucker Punch to give a game. It's deeper than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's a really good game. So I told you guys the other night in the group text that the more that I play it, the more that I like it. And I think that's probably by design because as you know, like the more you play it, you unlock different attacks and
Hmm.
different equipment and things like that. And so it just kind of like
That's fair.
it's like slowly like giving you all the tools you need to be like a badass. And
Yeah.
I think that's really cool because like me and you will talk like in the mornings or whatever. We'll talk about how like, oh, last night I unlocked this, and have you killed a guy with this yet, or yada yada yada. So I think that's really cool, a cool way to do it. And I mean, I guess most games do it like that, but I feel like the progression on this game is just a little bit more
Yeah.
like rewarding and even. Like it's
Hmm.
even throughout. Like
The pacing
there's
is
no
really good.
yeah, exactly. There's no big droughts, and I'm not getting stuff too soon and whatnot. So the game's beautiful. It's a gorgeous game.
Oh yeah.
It's great for my Instagram. I've got a lot of good photos. The combat is really cool. It's precise and it's what you would expect it to be, I guess. And it's challenging. Like I'm not very good at it, but
Yeah.
it's fun to work towards getting better at it and figuring out how to roll all the different techniques and attacks in together to be
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah,
and be
usually
deadly.
usually when I die, it's because I made a mistake. I didn't switch to the right stance. I didn't react fast enough. I got overwhelmed. I forgot to, parry or whatever.
Yes.
It's not because the game just decided, you haven't died in a while, so we're gonna OP you in this challenge, which I feel like that happens a lot in some other games. that I've played before, they've just done a really good job with the mechanics, and I wouldn't say it's anything necessarily revolutionary, but it certainly is progressive in a way that I wouldn't have expected from a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of, it's obviously something not totally different, but very different for Sucker Punch. They did the Infamous games
Hmm.
and then did this. So it's definitely a step out of their comfort zone in a way. So that's cool. And we'll talk about it, like I said, here in just a second with in the news. But I've also been playing Modern Warfare, like you mentioned. We played one night this week and for just a little bit, and then of course I've been playing Red Dead Online every day to get my challenges. And we've also got some news on that front too that I'm rejoicing over that we'll get to. I guess without further ado, we keep mentioning it. So let's just get into the news. Number one, The Last of Us Part 2 is already in the top five of best selling PS4 games of all time, according to NPD Group analyst Matt Piscatella, who shared sales data of the top five PS4 games ever on Twitter this week. The list is based on dollar sales and does include both physical and digital sales. Marvel's Spider Man topped the list, followed by God of War at number two, Horizon Zero Dawn at three, The Last of Us Part 2 at four, and Final Fantasy VII Remake at number five. Website GameIndustry.biz also reported that The Last of Us Part 2 sold 2.8 million digital units in June, the most ever for a PlayStation exclusive in its launch month. So what do you think about this, Travis? I mean, this is quick for The Last of Us to be in the top five best-selling PS4 games ever.
Already, which is, like you said, kind of kind of outrageous. I thought Final Fantasy sold super quick and super well,
Hmm.
and maybe it's just the way I read the news or the way it kind of got to me, but it seemed like it had almost more fanfare as it kind of rose up through it. That being said, everything I've seen about The Last of Us, it seems like it's deserving of it, as long as you take away kind of the bombing of the reviews, or however you want to put it,
Yeah.
the negative review campaign that happened. If you take those aside and you look at kind of the people that seem to be non-biased or people that have really put the time into the game, it seems like it has every right to be in that list.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that there's a really big appetite for these types of games. And I think there's a really big appetite for these type of games specifically from Sony because that's the corner that they've kind of painted themselves in. Like this is what they're good at. They're good at narrative driven,
Hmm.
third person action games. Look at God of War, look at Horizon Zero Dawn on this list, The
Yeah,
Last of Us Part 2.
they're all that type of game.
They're all that type of game. And you would think that there would be some fatigue there because of that, but there's really not.
Yeah.
Every time Sony comes out with one, I mean, look at Ghost of Tsushima. It's the same thing. It's a third person action game, and we've got some news about it too. No pun intended there. Number two on Friday,
Wow, was that a
PlayStation.
segue?
It was. Did you like that?
Wow. I don't know. I don't know who you are anymore.
On Friday, PlayStation announced on Twitter that Ghost of Tsushima is now the PS4's fastest selling first party original IP debut with more than 2.4 million units sold through globally in its first 3 days on the market. Earlier in the week, PlayStation Japan tweeted that Ghost of Tsushima is exceeding expectations in Japan and that some stores had sold out of physical copies entirely, adding that, quote, additional production is underway. Like we were just talking about, Ghost of Tsushima is already strong out of the gate, Travis, in terms of sales. And what do you think about this new IP selling so well early on here from Sony?
Like I said before, I mean, again, this is something else that kind of surprised me about it. And, probably at the end of this month, we'll be able to push one of those games we just talked about in the top five out to make
Mm.
way for Ghost of Tsushima. And do you think it has a chance to catch Spider Man?
Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, I mean, they have a whole island behind them.
I don't think it will. I think Spider-Man is pretty firmly at the top. And I don't know, it may eventually be able to creep into the top 5, but that top 3, top 4 is pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, if you're Sucker Punch, though, are you I wonder what they think about it. I wonder if they're surprised, and I'm not sure they would ever admit they were if they are, but,
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm working on a game, your dream is that it has this kind of success initially. So,
Yes.
it's gotta be I thought it would be awesome, and it is, and it's fun, but it's a different level of fun, and I think it's gonna I don't know, I really think it's gonna end up in the top 5.
So people, like you said, people thought that the game was going to be good just by default because it's a Sony first party game. But I think, and, even when we discussed the Metacritic scores last week, it was kind of what we thought it would be, like in the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
cool, it's a good game. But we were just talking about the more you play it, just the better it gets, the more it grows on you. And I think, as more people are exposed to it and play it, and it'll spread by word of mouth and that sort of thing. So I think there's definitely room to go up. And I mean, we're only talking about the first week that it's been on the market. So there's definitely many more copies to be sold for Ghost of Tsushima. Number 3, Sony appears to be prepping PS5 demo stations at certain UK retailers. This according to a picture posted on Twitter by user All Games Delta. The station included a small couch, a cutout for a television, as well as stands for controllers. It also included the PlayStation logo on the back of the couch with a white, blue, and black color scheme, which would seem to indicate that it is directly related to the PlayStation 5. A representative for Sony later told website IGN that the kiosks are in no way related to the PlayStation 5. So, Travis, are you buying this? Did you see the picture of these?
No, I did not.
I don't think I'm buying this one from Sony because if
Think
you
they're
look at
lying?
I don't know, man. I think maybe it's some misdirection because I think it's just weird timing to be putting a PlayStation demo station in a store and therefore not be related to the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, why else would you put it there? Why would you wanna demo the 4? Are they VR or is it VR demo?
No, because you have to sit down. There's like a love seat basically,
Mhm.
and obviously areas for controllers. So it's like you have to sit down and play. And then you have the white color scheme. What
Uh,
other piece of PlayStation hardware is white right now?
yeah, there's not one.
None that I know of. So I'm not sure that I'm sold on this. I think this is a little bit of smoke and mirrors, maybe,
Mhm.
because I think that combined with all the other rumors and news that we're getting, I think we're very, very close to pre-orders going live for the PlayStation 5, and I think they're just going to kind of roll all of this marketing push out all at the same time with, hey, there's demo stations at stores and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm buying this one.
It doesn't make sense for, a random person to just roll out cutouts for TVs and a small Sony couch, like, that's silly. I just looked it up, and I will say I think they could sell those couches.
They could with the PlayStation logo on the back, and it's
Oh,
like
for sure.
backlit. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like backlit in blue. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, people would eat those up.
you need to make that in the wood shop.
Maybe I could put LEDs on the bottom like a Need for Speed car
Yeah,
and have them pulse, that'd be kinda sweet.
you're starting to sound a little bit like Need for Speed Underground.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at Nissan R32s today too, which is a perfect Need for Speed car, so I don't know what's happening to me. Playing too much Ghost of Tsushima, I'm starting to turn Japanese. I like their cars, I like their games.
I think there's a song about that. You need to sell the car, sell the house, sell the wife, and get you the Nissan.
I tell you what, and I just was thinking about this. It's interesting that they're only in the UK, and that's
Mm.
probably because our country can't handle the COVID outbreak.
That is fair. Yeah, that is a little bit odd that you've only heard about it from UK retailers, but just like you said, you can't get together at GameStop and play the PlayStation 5 demo right now in America. So
Yeah, we can't have any LAN parties here.
the only thing we can have is our V8 motors. Number 4, Insomniac Games revealed on Twitter on Monday that their upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive, Spider Man Miles Morales, will have a performance mode capable of 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. There had been much speculation up until that point whether or not PlayStation 5 games would be able to hit the all important mark of 4K 60 that gamers feel should be the standard as we head into the next generation. So, what do you think about Looks like this possibly could be the standard for PlayStation 5 games, at least in the first party, as we move forward here with 4K resolution and 60 frames per second. Does that mean anything to you? Does that resonate at all?
Where was the speculation that we wouldn't make that mark? I missed that.
So I think some of it started by default because the Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops of graphical power and the PS5 has like 10.4 or whatever it is. And
Yeah,
so I think there was just kind of that shit talking going on of
yeah,
like, because I think there is some games who have come out and said, oh, 4K 30. And so the Xbox fans have kind of used that as fuel to say, oh, well, the PlayStation 5 isn't going to be able to even handle 4K at 60 frames, and so
yeah. Did they watch their presentation yesterday? Because it looks like they can't handle it.
that's it. Yes, that's a nail on the head.
Yeah, talking a lot of shit, and you have more power and you can't handle it. That who does that rest on?
Their showcase looked not good. They are in not good. I don't care what anybody says on Twitter. That's great that they have Game Pass. They definitely win when it comes to the subscription. Game Pass is far and above PlayStation now. I'll give them that. Okay, they
Yeah, but
win
that's
that.
not selling a console.
That's not selling the console. Like,
That's what this is about, isn't it? At the end of the day, why make a console if you don't need
yes,
it? Then you're just a distributor.
everything that they said or how they marketed everything yesterday during their conference or stream, whatever, was pretty much counterintuitive or outright hypocrisy to what they publicly said, meaning they as in Phil Spencer to this point. And
Yeah,
it's crazy to me. Like there's nothing as a lapsed Xbox player and fan, there's nothing about that got me the least bit excited to think, maybe I'll get an Xbox too this generation. There's nothing. There's nothing.
yeah, and it's again, if you're not selling the console, what's the difference between the Game Pass and Steam? You can still play them on
Correct.
PC. I don't understand the difference, and again, I don't play either of those, so I'm sure somebody can tell me how dumb I am, and that's fine. But I never to get back to your point, usually you make these lists every week and we have a script and we look at it and I'll make my notes and I'll read through it. And this is probably the first point I've gotten to out of all these that you've made where I didn't really understand. Not that I didn't understand what my opinion is, I didn't understand why that was so surprising for people. Usually I can kind of see both sides of whatever the point is. But like when I read that, I just thought, oh, yeah, of course it is. Like, what do you mean? Like, no shit. Like you said, it might only maybe, hey, maybe we only get this with the first party games, and that's fine. It's not like 4K 30 is gonna look terrible. It just won't be, as refined, and that's fine. It is what it is, but I just don't get the surprise.
I would be willing to bet that the average gamer cannot tell the difference between 4K 30 and 4K 60. And they sure as hell cannot tell the difference between 4K 60 and 100 or 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second. Let's just make them look pretty and play good and be fun. And I'm sure Sony's going to have all that. Number 5, following last week's report about the Red Door, the rumored code name for this year's Call of Duty game, website DualShockers reported that some users were able to download the Red Door Alpha, and upon launching, the title screen reveals the game is called Call of Duty Black Ops CIA. Further information was discovered by a data miner on Twitter, including that there are locations included for Vietnam, Russia, Nicaragua, and Germany. There also seem to be potential references to a co op zombies mode and updates to Call of Duty Warzone. Does any of this interest you?
It never occurred to me to try to download the alpha. I'm a little disappointed in myself.
Well, I think it was only on Microsoft, or I'm sorry, I think it was only on Xbox this time around.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go buy with the new one then.
There you go.
I mean, I think the interesting part is the Warzone
Yeah.
updates. So theoretically, if you didn't buy the new Call of Duty, could you play the same Warzone map with this year's COD and next year's COD? Is that how I'm interpreting that might work?
I would assume so. Yeah, it would be free to play still, and you would just, you would get the updated version of it. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to know the locations and the name of it. One point, if the game takes place before the 90s, that map would be USSR and not Russia. They
Hmm.
weren't Russia yet. But anyway, that's fine, it doesn't matter.
History major.
Yeah, and it's probably the first war game that you can't play with your grandpa in the room if we're in the Vietnam maps.
Yeah, because then they'll start like throwing their coffee mugs across the room while they're on their belly,
I mean, it wouldn't be it would be hilarious, but not really.
or they might go out and shoot the dog because they thought he would shoot through the wires on his truck.
Hey man, listen, Agent Orange does some wild shit.
So this interests me. I'm kind of interested in the zombies part of it. Typically, in the past, I have not played the zombies mode on Call of Duty, but I don't know. For some reason, this premise of like Black Ops CIA kind of interests me, and I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just into. I'm on a co-op kick right now.
Mhm.
I just got Far Cry New Dawn the other day
Mhm.
because it's on sale, so we can play that in the kind of post Ghost of Tsushima pre PlayStation 5 lull that we're sure to have, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just on kind of like a little co-op kick.
That part does sound cool, and hopefully it's not I wonder if it'll be like the old zombie games where it's never ending or if it'll actually be,
Mm.
structured more like our little co-op things that we can do now on this year's COD.
Number six, developer CD Projekt Red revealed in an interview with Polish publication Spider's Web that it will be possible to complete Cyberpunk 2077 without completing the main quest line of the game. Lead quest designer, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Pavel Sasko, stated, quote, "So in Cyberpunk's structure, we have this wheat spike, which serves as its center, the main storyline with different subplots surrounding it, which can be triggered in various ways," end quote. So what do you think about this ability to beat a game without actually beating a game? Does that turn you on or off at all?
I think that's actually pretty interesting. It's definitely a different view on how to kinda run the storyline, but then it begs the
Hmm.
question, why have a main storyline?
Right.
But it could create some interesting scenarios where we get a lot of different outcomes, and most gamers like games with multiple outcomes because it kind of, I guess, shows your character as a player with the decision making you make.
Yeah, I think that this might become more of a trend as we get into next gen because developers are going to be able to just make these big open world, like really detailed games, you know?
Mhm.
But I'm kind of the same mind of you on it in a little bit, in a way. You know, I feel like if I beat that game by not finishing the main quest line, then I haven't seen or experienced what they wanted me to experience about the
Yeah,
game.
that's a good point.
But if they're designing it that way, then maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, and maybe that is how they want me to experience the game is in my own way. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I see both sides of it, but I wonder how extreme you have to get. You know what I mean? To like fall off of that main quest line to finish it. Like,
Yeah, like,
do you have
to
to
where
be
it
like,
doesn't exist.
yeah,
It deletes, missions or whatever.
right? Like, do you have to be a really big asshole, or do you have to be like a really good guy, or like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. And I think another reason that to piggyback off of your point that this could be a trend is look at all the flack that The Last of Us took because of their storyline.
mm,
And if you make this game where you can, with the subplots, kind of flip around and skip certain things, and maybe this character lives and this one doesn't, or maybe your character acts this way instead of that way, it kind of deflects all of the controversy about the type of characters you created. You can be like, well, you played it that way, and that's why this person was this way. Or if you would have played it this
huh?
way, maybe this person wouldn't have died, or that person wouldn't be transphobic, or whatever.
I've never thought about that. That's very interesting. So you basically, if you don't like the way a story's going, then you can just kind of alter it through your decisions altogether.
Yeah, and then if you complain about it, they can say, "Hey, it's your fault," and then, hey, it's not
Right.
on them anymore.
It's like, oh, if you didn't like it, then play the game again and make different decisions.
Yeah.
Number seven, website Games Radar relayed an interview from Italian voice actor Luca Ward, who provides the Italian dub for Splinter Cell's Sam Fisher, in which Ward said that a new Splinter Cell game was in the works. Ward stated in the interview, quote, "They have not yet figured out whether to do it in 2021. It was going to release in 2020 and then COVID-19 happened. But I am sure that Splinter Cell will return. This is a fact." What do you think about this? Are you into the Splinter Cell games?
I haven't played one. I don't know the last one I played, but
Well,
I do
well,
like them.
shit, they haven't had one in forever, probably
That's
either.
true. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for it if we're gonna make a new one. And my first
Yeah.
thought was, what is why is Luca telling everybody this? And then I realized, well, he's being interviewed for a reason. They didn't just
Mhm.
randomly call up the voice of Sam Fisher, the Italian Sam Fisher, and say, "Hey, what are you up to?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
clearly, they wanted you to know that they're working on the Splinter Cell game.
I think that there might be something coming down the pipeline. We're going to mention later on, but we know that we're going to get another Ubisoft Forward stream event. I'm wondering if we're going to hear more about this then, because if I mean he obviously works on the game, he says it's a fact, he's worked on it, so it's in the pipeline. So hopefully we'll hear something about it soon in the next few months. Number 8. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, on a Wednesday earnings call, Ubisoft told investors that their next gen games this fall will remain at the same $59.99 price point as their current gen games. This, of course, is in contrast to Take Two's pricing strategy for NBA 2K21, for instance, which is priced at $69.99 on the PlayStation 5. So, what do you think about this? Ubisoft making this, I guess, consumer friendly move this fall?
Yeah, that's the way I'd put it. It's consumer friendly. NBA is not shy about being a cash cow and trying to milk you for
Mhm.
every penny they can. So it's not surprising that they immediately jumped ahead to the price increase. Part of me wonders if we would see Ubisoft doing this if we didn't have COVID. They can kind of use it as a goodwill thing for their consumers. That's kind of how I look at it.
I totally agree with that. But when do you think that we're going to, at least from Ubisoft, I guess, when do you think they're going to actually like make the jump, make the decision to like, all right, games are 69.99 or whatever they're going to be now? When do you think they're just going to say, okay, January 1st, 2021, like the next game that comes out after that, it's the price is going up or what?
I wonder if it'll be more of there's a point with your new consoles where the other one is kind of, you're kind of like either at this point you're getting the console or you're just going to miss a generation. And
Hmm.
maybe 12 months after it comes out or something like that. I kind of feel within a year you'll see that jump. I mean, they're almost going to have to with the way that they're going to make games now.
Number 9, during an interview with YouTuber RX Gaming, sounds very close to it sounds very close to
Uh-huh.
something else, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, geez. During an interview with YouTuber RX Gaming, Godfall technical producer Richard Hain, guy's name's Dick. How do we
Are you sure it's not Heine? Dick Heine?
Dick Heine shared that the upcoming PlayStation 5 exclusive will not be a live service game and will not include microtransactions. The game will, however, include in-game content, as Hain or Heine said, quote, "We don't consider it a game as a service. There are no microtransactions in Godfall, but we are planning that there is plenty of content for the player to get into once Macros, the final boss, is defeated," end quote.
Spoiler.
Jeez, no kidding. It comes right out and tells us. So, what do you think about this? Is that we're seeing this game, which I think you and I are kind of cool on, but
Yeah.
it's being, I guess, we thought it was going to be maybe a live service game, but it's not. It's going to have a
Mhm.
campaign. There's not going to be any microtransactions. Does this make you think differently about this game at all?
I'm always pro anti microtransactions. That was a mouthful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
pro anti.
when you talk about it not being a live service, it makes me wonder if they can't get the game where they want it, maybe, or if they tried that and maybe in some of their alpha or beta tests, it's not going how they want. That's kind of my initial reaction because I feel like they you would want it to be a live service, or am I completely off base?
I think this is the day and age where you want games to be a live service. I mean, how many times in the past, couple of weeks have we said, persistent world, persistent games, this and that? I think that's a trend for sure. And at the very least, if a game's not a live or a living or persistent game, at the very least, what you see now are microtransactions, like cosmetic stuff,
Yeah.
skins, weapon variants, whatever the case. Like you see that in almost every game. What I think maybe this could be, foil hat stuff or whatever, but I think that maybe they're kind of filling the lukewarmness a little bit from consumers. And I think they're just trying to make all the right decisions and they're just trying to make all the best decisions that they can to give the game a fighting chance,
Yeah, it's a fair point.
i.e., it's going to be a launch game for PlayStation 5. Games sell well in the launch window, no matter what they are. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's not going to be a live service. It's the game is what it is. It's going to respect your time. Number three, there's not going to be any microtransactions. So you just buy the game and you have it. And then four, even though it's not going to be a live service, they're going to make sure that you have a reason to keep playing the game if you want to. If you are one of the people who buy it on a whim and then you play it and decide that you love it or you like it, there's going to be more for you there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and
that kind of strikes me as what their approach is.
the lukewarmness, the track it kinda shifted to reminded me of, because we were into the game, and it reminded me
Yeah.
of how I felt about Anthem, how I was excited and interested, and then I saw some gameplay, and then I saw some more gameplay, and I kinda was cooling off, cooling off, cooling off, and it just feels very familiar to me, like we've been here before with games.
That's a great comparison. It does very much have that Anthem feel, doesn't it? Like cool, like it looks cool at first, and then it just kind of like you play the beta or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's just like, I'm good.
and that might just be my disappointment. Like I said, I try not to get high expectations for games, that's why I limited my Tsushima stuff, but
Hmm.
for some reason, when I saw the trailer, just like I did with Anthem, my hopes went from 0 to 100. I'm on the,
Yeah.
I'm running that restaurant on Ozarks, and Marty Bird came in, and I got too excited. So, yeah, so, like, to your point, it makes sense that if they're getting that vibe back, they're gonna wanna rein it in and say, "Hey, look, it's still a launch game. You can still have fun with it. It's still gonna be something else you can do on the 5 because there's not gonna be a lot else. Hey, it is what it is."
Number 10, Star Wars Squadrons game director Ian Fraser revealed in an interview with website GameSpot that there will be no PlayStation 5 version of the game. It will, however, be playable via backwards compatibility on the console. Fraser also revealed that the game will be priced at a budget conscious $39.99, saying, quote, "Sure, it's a risk, but ultimately this game is a very focused game, right? This is not trying to be all things to all people," end quote. The game will launch on October the 2nd for PlayStation 4. What do you think about this? First of all, there's not going to be any dedicated PlayStation 5 version that you're going to have to upgrade to, and then the fact that they're going to come in at $40 for their game.
I think it's a pretty smart move with the $40. Like he said, or he alluded to, that is kind of a niche game, and I do feel like that about almost every Star Wars game, though. It's the type of game that I'm not sure you need a PS5 version of. Like, you're gonna get everything you can probably get out of that game on the 4, and making it backwards compatible, hey, if you like the game that much and you really wanna get rid of your 4, hey, there you go. You still play it.
I totally agree with everything. I think it bodes well for it. I mean, there's I think you're going to see more of this too as we go into next gen as far as games kind of playing in that with that price point a little bit. Like, look, their game, they've said it has a campaign, right? That's fine. It's probably not much. It's a flying multiplayer focused game. Is that a $60 experience? Probably not, if they're being honest, which they were. So why not price it at $40 and see if you can get some more people to bite? So I think you're going to only see more of this in the next generation. Number 11, website Gematsu reports that Rabbit and Bear Studios, a Tokyo based studio founded by key creators of the Suikoden series, have announced Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, a new JRPG that is a spiritual successor to Suikoden. The developer released a gameplay teaser, screenshots, and character bios with the announcement as well. A Kickstarter campaign for the game will launch on July 27th and is targeting a fall 2022 release on PlayStation 5. So, Travis, I know me and you, we're not into JRPGs. We're not JRPG super nerds, right? But I do know that for the people that are, this is a very big deal. And the Suikoden series is a kind of beloved series that goes all the way back to the PlayStation 1. So the fact that some of the people that created that game and worked on that game have now created this new IP is a really big deal. for the people who are fans of this genre and this type of game. And I did watch the gameplay teaser, and there's it. I mean, it kind of looks cool. It definitely doesn't look like as JRPG.
JRPG.
It doesn't look so very JRPG.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, what? Any thoughts on this? Uh, oh, perfect. Well, this reminded me immediately. Do you know who loves the Suikoden series?
Suikoden's Jacob?
No, that's
Do
a
I know
great
them?
guess. Yes, but he's a blast from the past. Do you remember Jeremy from Target that we worked with?
Oh my gosh, yes.
This
Oh,
is
that
like,
makes a lot of sense.
dude, the Suikoden games are like Jeremy's like favorite series of games ever. Like ever. He's probably gonna lose his mind. I might have to
Yeah.
message him on Facebook and ask him what he
Make
thinks
sure
about
he's
this.
okay. He's a walking Naruto, though.
True. Number 12, Rockstar Games announced on Friday that big updates are coming to both GTA Online and Red Dead Online. In a post on the Rockstar Newswire, the developer said, quote, for Red Dead Online, players can expect a massive new update to arrive on Tuesday, July 28th, featuring a new frontier pursuit, as we
There you go.
discussed last week, plus a new outlaw pass, tons of community requested features and fixes, and much more. They went on to say a summer update to GTA Online is also on the way, offering up a fun mix of diverse new content. Later this year, players can expect more big updates for both games, including augmentations to an existing role in Red Dead Online and the biggest update ever for Grand Theft Auto Online. End quote. So, Travis, finally, sweet release. We willed this into existence last week because we talked shit
You got
about
all
how
your
it had,
clowns together.
we got all the clown buddies together and we willed this into existence. You and I talked shit about how it had been 212 days since we had gotten a content update. You told me that No Man's Sky had gotten like 10 or 11 updates since the last Red Dead one. Lo and behold, and then after there was like 19 news articles across the internet all last week about clowns in Red Dead and all this shit, we finally hear from Rockstar and they literally said the words massive new update. So you know how I feel about this. Does this mean anything to you? Is it gonna pique your interest, you think, to go check it out or what?
I wanna know what you think that the big updates are, but the question I have for you is, are you ready to ride your V8 horsey across the prairie?
I am. So I don't have the fastest horse in the game though.
That's true.
I ride like a V6. I
Yeah,
ride like
but
a
I got
V6.
I got the horse I like the most.
Yeah,
I wasn't worried
it's
about being fast.
it's got to look good. Like you want a horse that looks cool.
Yeah. Like, you want a hot wife, you don't wanna I'll stop there. Um,
You want a hot wife. You don't want a loose one.
oh, 100%. Um,
I might have to edit that out. Our wives will kill us.
I still have it installed, like, I love the game, and I'll keep playing it as long as it's
Yeah,
fun. I mean, I haven't played it in a while, but it's because the game is stagnant to me, so
yeah.
I'm interested to see what the new roles are and kinda what these augmentations are that they're talking about. I think a cool role would be, like, some kind of a photographer role. I think that would be really
Mhm.
cool. I think the community would like that a lot, and,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of requests for alterations to the bounty hunter and the this, that, and the other. I don't really have a guess as to what the role could be other than a photographer, maybe a sheriff role. I don't really know. What do you think?
The only thing that they said in the newswire post, which I edited out of my what I read there, was that it's some type of naturalist role in the new Frontier Pursuit role. It's something to do with the naturalist. I have no idea what that means, but the picture showed a not a cheetah.
Oh,
Jeez.
really?
What's the thing that's in the mountain lion? I get cougar. It showed a cougar.
So, old woman.
Yes, it showed an old woman in the forest. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I guess I need to Google naturalist and figure out what the hell a naturalist
I
is.
think they like, wander out into nature and they like document different flora and fauna and, the mountain
Mm,
ranges. Like Lewis and Clark, that's what I think of as a naturalist, like kind of like an
okay.
explorer, but also kind of like a scientist.
Yeah. I'm wondering then if maybe you're right. Maybe you're onto something. Maybe you're going to be like a nature photographer or something like that. So
That'd be pretty sweet.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know, but I'm excited about it. The fact that they actually used the word massive is it's got me
Interesting.
ready. Yeah, it's got me ready to go.
It's got you something else a little massive.
You could definitely say that. Number 13, Travis, we have a bunch of news nuggets that we need to get through here to share with the audience. And there might be some that stick out to us along the way, but I'll get started here with the first little nugget. Ubisoft announced during a recent earnings call that they will hold another Ubisoft Forward stream after the first one surpassed previous E3 conference viewership.
So let's just stop there. What else
Hmm.
can they show us? So you alluded to Splinter Cell earlier. Is that where you think
Has
they're
to be.
going?
Has to be. It has to be Splinter Cell, and then we're gonna have to see. This is several Tom Clancy games, but we're gonna have to see Splinter Cell. They're gonna have to show us the Rainbow Six Quarantine
Oh yeah,
game.
that's right.
Remember that one? And then they're gonna have to show us that Gods and Monsters game, which is like the Legend of
Okay.
Zelda looking game.
Yeah,
And then I guess that's it. I
maybe a
don't know.
surprise.
Maybe
I mean, I think that's if you're gonna do another stream, you have to have something worth it. You can't just do streams every month. Like nobody's gonna be interested in that.
they'll show us gameplay for Far Cry too, most likely.
That's a good point. Yeah, and that'll be cool to
Mhm.
see too. I'm excited to see everything I can see about that. I'm gonna try not to watch too much, but I just like the last one so much. It's hard not to get. If they made a Ghost of Tsushima too, I probably wouldn't be able to stop myself from watching everything.
I feel you. So Ubisoft to me is one of those. It's like probably the real. It's the big major publisher that like I could actually probably play almost any of their games. Like I can take or leave EA,
Yeah,
2K, whatever. But Ubisoft, most of their stuff speaks to me. So I'm excited. Hopefully they bring some heat and they just melt our face at the very end with a new Splinter Cell game for 2021. Also, Travis, Max Payne, Alan Wake, and Control developer Remedy Entertainment has a new job posting for a technical director for a new online multiplayer game. So it sounds like they're getting started on their next project. A G.I. Joe video game appears to be in the works at developer Game Mill Entertainment, as a G.I. Joe dedicated website His Tank has discovered box art for the game, which is titled G.I. Joe Operation Blackout.
do you think it's based off of those old ads? Hey, remember those old dubbed ads we found in college?
It'd be hilarious
I would die.
if that's like an unlockable or like a whatever, like a like a secret thing in the game, I would die.
It's that would be so good.
Final Fantasy VII Remake game director Tetsuya Nomura revealed to Famitsu that part 2 of the remake is now in full development. Publisher Atlas announced that JRPG Persona 5 Royal has now sold over 1.4 million copies worldwide, and series sales have crossed 13 million copies. Upcoming sequel Yakuza Like a Dragon will release on November 13th. The game will release on PlayStation 4 with an available upgrade to PlayStation 5 in the works. Psyonix, developer of Rocket League, announced that the game will go free to play at some point this summer, which is interesting. An Amazon pre order page went live this week for a book entitled The Art of Mass Effect Trilogy Expanded Edition, which will be released in February 2021 and would seem to indicate that the rumored remake of the trilogy is real.
Can you explain to me the Mass Effect phenomenon? I don't know what's so great about it.
I cannot tell you. I have only played a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, which is the most recent one that everybody hated and said was unfinished.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't think it was terrible, but I also had no reference point. So people love the games. People love I think the first one and second ones in particular because I think there's some type of controversy over how 3 ended or maybe
Mhm.
how 2 ended. I don't know. But people love them. So I mean if they do a trilogy and it comes out on PlayStation 5, I mean I might check it out if there's like a lull in games and see what
Yeah.
all the fuss is about.
I would love to have a, Fallout art book.
Ooh.
That would be awesome. But the issue with it would be, like, some of the pages would stick together, or they'd randomly fall out, or they'd clip in between each other because they can't make a game without glitches, so, I mean, I'm sure the book would just mess up, it'd float off into space or something one day.
They'd have to have a glitchy book to be on brand. Skybound Games announced that their surprise hit, Untitled Goose Game, is getting a physical release sometime later this year.
That's my favorite game I've never played.
Yes, you discovered it today.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
I think
I
it's right up your alley.
I laughed for, like, 30 minutes, and the trailer was, like, 5. Like, just the idea that you're just you're a goose who's just an absolute asshole, and you just wander around this British town, and you just, like this guy's playing, whatever, you, like, just knock the coffee mug off the table and just walk off.
Mhm.
It's so funny to me, and it seems like it's set up for you to have these really weird interactions.
Yeah, it won a Game of the Year award from someplace, which is, and people were like really upset about it, but it did win a Game of the Year award.
That guy's must have been me running the event. He was like, "This is hilarious. It's winning. I don't care."
Publisher Team 17 and developer Ghost Town Games announced that a collection of their Overcooked games titled Overcooked All You Can Eat, great name, is coming to the PlayStation 5.
Finally, a name we can get behind as a podcast.
Yes. Electronic Arts will remove all use of the Washington Redskins name and logo from the upcoming Madden NFL 21 until such time that a new team name is announced.
And we
I'm
don't
assuming
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm assuming that this means that they'll put in Washington football team.
Yeah, and I gotta say, love that name.
You like
Just leave
Washington
it.
football team?
How many soccer teams are called, like, Portland FC, Portland Football
True.
Club? Fine. Why can't we be football team? I mean, the new, was it the new Cincinnati soccer team is called? No, Charlotte. Charlotte's called Charlotte Soccer Club. They did, like, a whole like, they had a company come in and do all these market tests and do all these surveys, and they settled on soccer club.
Do you know what you know what the best team name and color scheme and everything is now?
Are you gonna tell me it's the Seattle Krakens?
It absolutely is the Seattle Kraken. It's have you seen the jerseys and the color
Yeah.
scheme?
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
love it. I
I
love it.
couldn't believe it.
It's great. It's perfect. It's everything that the NHL should be. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah, I wish the NBA would have fun with their stuff like that. They are getting better though. The what do you wanna call them? The city
Like,
jerseys are pretty
yeah,
interesting.
they are, yeah. Also, Travis, developer High Res Studios announced that their third person hero shooter action game, Rogue Company, which is dog shit, by the way, is now available in early access on PlayStation 4. I played the beta for about 5 minutes. Publisher Modus Games and developer Uncorporated and Sick, or SYCK, announced on Monday that a demo version of upcoming RPG Chris Tells is now available on PlayStation 4. The full game will release on November 17th. Website Push Square reported that cult hit JRPG Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne is getting an HD remaster that will release on PlayStation 4 in the West in 2021.
You gotta think that some of these Japanese or these JRPG names make more sense in their native language. Like, what Nocturne, do they mean nocturnal?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point because I think in Japan, Resident Evil is actually called Biohazard in whatever
Oh my
Japanese
god.
is. It's not even called Resident Evil.
And by the way, like, released in the West, like, technically everything's to the west and the east of itself.
Exactly.
That
If you
really
want to look
drives me crazy.
You wanna look at the flat map, if you're a flat earther, we're definitely in the
Oh
West.
my gosh.
EA Sports revealed the box art for FIFA 21, or FIFA 21, as our friends across the pond say, and Paris Saint-Germain star Kylian Mbappe is your cover athlete this year.
Have you seen the cover?
I've not.
It looks like, EA opened up Paint and got a bunch of square pictures and put them on a blank document and said, "There's your cover."
Perfect. Stay hot. Action platformer Samurai Jack Battle Through Time will launch on PS4 on August 21st. Platformer A Tale of Paper will launch on PS4 later in 2020. Publisher Atlas has delayed 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim from September 8th to September 22nd. Monster catching game Nexomon Extinction will launch on PS4 on August 28th. Strategy RPG Star Renegades will launch on PlayStation 4 on September 8th. Roguelike mountain biking adventure game Descenders will launch on PlayStation 4 on August 25th. That
Have you
game
looked
looks
at that?
cool.
Yeah,
That game looks cool.
it looks like Trials,
It does. That game
and
looks dope.
I had a lot of fun on that game. And a lot of the gameplay I saw was on Steam from 6 or 7 months ago, so you know it's definitely advanced more since then.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I might have to check it out depending on what the price is. I'm gonna guess it's like a $30 game. Adventure game Ari and the Secret Season launches on PS4 on September 1st. Multiplayer party game Head Snatchers launches on PS4 on July 28th. Construction management simulation game Space Base Startopia will launch on PS4 on October 23rd. that game looks kind of cool too. Sounds cool at
That's
least.
that's up your alley. You love every construction-based simulation.
God, I do. I love them all. I have way too many on my PS4. And finally, Travis, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was released 9 years ago, 7 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and 2 years ago this week. And that is all for the news. Let's move in, Travis, to the new game releases this week. Can't wait for this list. We'll start with North America, and I will point out any Europe specific releases that we have this week as well. In North America this week on PlayStation VR, we got the complete Super Hot bundle. On PlayStation 4, we received Arcade Archives Kangaroo, Boss Guard, Dash Ball, Fight of Gods, Epic Word Search Collection 2, Fantasy Strike, which is a free to play game, Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location in Europe only, hashtag Fun Time, whatever, Ghost of Tsushima, Hero Express in Europe only, Just Say the First Case HD, Little Town Hero in Europe only, Nerved, Horror Bundle, Never Song, One Dog Story, Pool Slide Story,
Three Dog Night.
three dog night. What in the hell are those? Radical Rabbit Stew, Rain Swept in Europe only, Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break, decent name, Sniper, Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, and then the complete Super Hot bundle, Terralander 2, Rock Slide Rescue, Trine Ultimate Collection, Ultimate Racing 2D, and Ultra Hat Dimension in Europe only. And finally, oh, sorry, not finally. Geez, we got some more here. Ultra Core, that's at least the fifth time that I've read that.
Mhm.
Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus. We Should Talk. That's the
That's
name
a
of a
game.
game.
Yeah,
That's a
that's the
game.
a woman made that.
Yeah, that's where you just talk to a pissed off girl the whole
Yeah.
time. You're in trouble. We should talk.
She's mad about something irrelevant. She had a dream that you, like, looked at a girl and blew her a kiss, and she's mad at you all day for it.
When really all you've been doing is thinking about playing PlayStation.
Yeah. I'm trying to be a samurai. I don't care about the girl.
Wonder Blade. And we also got there. I'm sorry, that is all for PlayStation 4. We also, Travis, received a PlayStation Vita game this week, Epic Word Search Collection 2. And that is all for the new game releases. Travis, let's start to wrap things up this week. We're going to do things a little bit differently this week on our last segment. So I want to, instead of explaining a game to you this time, you and I are we're gonna take a look back in a trip down memory lane at one of our favorite games I know from the PlayStation 1 era. We're gonna call this the Blast from the Past. And this week, wanted to talk to you about Die Hard Trilogy on PlayStation 1. Do you remember Die Hard Trilogy?
Oh, yeah. Big hit. Take that, you Yankee.
Take that, yeah, Yankee. So I still own this game. I have it somewhere
As
in
you
the
should.
house. I have the
You should frame it like a golden record.
I have it somewhere in the house. I'm just waiting. Maybe one day I'll just get a PS1 on eBay and I'll just play it. It's awesome. So it comes with three different games, right? It comes with Die
Mhm.
Hard 1, which is a third person shooter, basically,
Yeah.
where you're working your way up Nakatomi Plaza, right?
Yeah, you start in the garage.
Start in the garage, yeah. This Die Hard 2 is a light gun shooter, like an arcade
Yes, it
shooter, like
yeah.
Big Buck Hunter or Time Crisis or
Yeah,
whatever the
it's
hell those
made
games
for a
were.
movie theater.
Yes, absolutely perfect. Yes, and then the third one, which is my least favorite.
Yeah, we played this one the least.
Yes, Die Hard 3 is a driving game, and you're driving a taxi or cop cars or whatever. You can change cars somehow. I can't remember, but you're
Yeah.
trying to defuse bombs before they blow up New York City.
Yeah, it feels like Crazy Taxi
Yeah,
in a
but
weird
Die
way.
Hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Die
but
Hard.
but
Die
you're
Hard
John
Crazy Taxi.
McClane
Yes. So this is near and dear to both of us because we lost many hours
in
at
many lives.
and many lives at each other's house playing Die Hard Trilogy way back in the day. I gotta say, the first one was definitely probably my favorite because
Yeah, I
of
agree.
the humor factor.
It's hilarious. The banter's funny. I can't tell you how many times that I died on the reception level and or the office level, whatever you wanna call it. I think we got almost we almost got to the point where we wouldn't die on the garage, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous, but the little nooks and crannies in the office would just blow 'em up. I was too young to understand, like, where they were coming from. It just would overwhelm me.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. Is it like with the tan walls and everything? Is
Yeah,
that yeah,
and you could,
yeah.
like, run off into the stairwell, and then, like, the
Yes.
elevator would open, and there'd be 10 more guys, and there'd be, like, a rocket launcher. I'm like, "What are we doing?"
Yes, and I also was thinking about today when I was putting this on the script, when you would shoot the guys and when the blood would come out of them like it was falling off of an umbrella.
Yeah,
Like it was
it
like it was raining blood.
was the best they could do.
Yeah, it's hilarious,
And
and,
then well, the weird part was I always thought that the airport one, the second one when you're in the airport, that one, unless you not to jump ahead, and we can go back if you want, but I always thought the part that drove me crazy on the game was how the camera would move, and
yes,
it would always make things worse for me. I don't
yes.
think I ever beat that level.
I only got past the first level. I think I take that back. I think I made it past the first 2 levels because I don't remember a 3rd level.
I don't even remember a second one.
I would love to go back and play those games now because of just like when you know, as a kid, we were dog shit at games. So now, like being decent at games, I would love to go and beat those games. But the
It
thing
can't
that
take that long, can it?
surely not, no. The thing I remember about the second one though is that on the PS1 controller, there's no joysticks, right? So
Right.
you were having to move the reticle with the D-pad. Do you remember that?
Yeah, God, and that was part of the problem, and the camera would move almost like you weren't human. Not that the camera's human, but it didn't even make sense, like, physically what it was doing because nobody would move, like, so robotically, and that's what I mean by it was like a movie theater game. Like, they wanted you to play with a little gun that you pointed at the arcade screen.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it was made for. Which I need to look this up. I've got the Wikipedia pulled up.
Can we buy a game case of that game?
That's what yeah, that's kind of what I was looking to see if like it ever was an arcade game. All right, so well, let's talk about the third part of that real quick, and then I'll just kind of give the Wikipedia rundown. I guess I should have done that in the beginning. We'll work on it. So the third part, the third game, Die Hard 3, where you drive the taxi and shit, that was the one that I remember us being the worst at because for the longest time, we didn't know what the hell we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, we probably were the least interested too, so we weren't putting a lot of effort into it.
Yes. So, okay. So, Die Hard Trilogy is a video game based on the first 3 installments of the Die Hard series of action movies. Die Hard Trilogy features 3 games in one, each based on a movie installment and featuring a different genre and gameplay style. The game was well received and would eventually become a PlayStation Greatest Hits, which that might be the copy that I have as the Greatest Hits one. It also became a PlayStation Platinum game. Die Hard Trilogy also inspired a sequel entitled Die Hard Trilogy 2 Viva Las Vegas, also a fun game. May own that as well. The sequel retained the 3 different playing styles but featured a spin off storyline that was not connected to the movie series. So, Die Hard Trilogy on PlayStation 1 was developed by a studio called Probe Entertainment. It was published by Fox Interactive, who had the rights to the Die Hard movie, obviously, and Electronic Arts. It says under genres, and so this might give us a hint here. Under genres, it says third person shooter, light gun shooter. Maybe that's just describing the second game.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not actually usable with a light gun. Oh, hang on. So here's a breakdown of the gameplay for each of the 3. This is a little bit of a this is good. Die Hard, the first one, is a third person shooter, like we mentioned. The player battles terrorists and rescues hostages in the Nakatomi Plaza, which is the setting of the first film of the series. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, is presented as an on rails shooter where the player must stop terrorists who
That's
have
right.
taken over. Yeah, who have
On
taken over
rails.
on rails, correct. Who have taken over Dulles Airport from the second film. Players control the crosshair with a gamepad, light gun, or a mouse. So I guess the
Oh, we could've
PlayStation. I
bro.
know. I didn't know the PlayStation 1 had a light gun. This is
Alright.
making. We got to find this now because I kind of want to do
I
this.
still have my PlayStation 1. We just need to find the guns.
Oh, shit. We just need to go on eBay after this and find a light gun. Remind me. And I'll find the game. I know I have it. Die Hard Trilogy was one of the few light gun games available for the PlayStation. Holy shit. I bet that thing's worth money. Dude, I'm telling you, light gun games are worth money. I had Time Crisis 3 or 4 for PS2 back in the day, and that game sells for I mean, ridiculous amount of money now. I got rid of it, of course, but light gun games. All right. Die Hard Trilogy was one of the few light gun games available for the PlayStation that was not compatible with Namco's Gun Con, G-Con 45 controller, or Gun Con 2.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Now it's getting difficult.
However, it was compatible with Sega's Stunner light gun for the Saturn version. Shit.
Well,
We'll have to figure this out. We'll have to look this up. All right. Die Hard with a Vengeance. In Die Hard with a Vengeance, the player goes on a joyride driving a taxi cab.
Joyride.
Yeah, a taxi cab, a sports car, a dump truck. I remember the dump truck, not the sports car.
Yep.
Throughout all of New York City, and is tasked with finding and defusing several explosives before they can go off. Interesting.
I'll say that's pretty ambitious of them on the PS1 to give you 3 different play styles. That's really trusting the consumer back then.
So, Die Hard Trilogy was a commercial hit with sales above 2 million units by March 2000. The PlayStation version was positively reviewed as of June 2017. It holds an 86% ranking on Game Rankings.
Wow.
GameSpot gave it a 9.4 out of 10.
I'm glad that it has rated as well as I remember playing it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Die Hard Trilogy was a finalist for the Computer Game Developers Conference 1996 Best Adaptation of Linear Media
Hmm.
Spotlight Award, but lost the prize to I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
What is that?
What is that? Oh, wow.
I bet it's gotta be Japanese.
However, Electronic Gaming Monthly editors named it the Action Game of the Year. God, I love that game. We have got to look into this light gun shit.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Travis, I want to start to wrap the show up here with our question, comment, or concern as we normally do. This week, it's not necessarily any of those three again, but we were talking earlier this week in text about this phenomenon that we both experience occasionally called the call of the void or high place phenomenon. Why don't you describe that for us?
Basically, the general example, and there are multiple examples, but the general example is you're on something high, like a roof or a lighthouse or whatever, and you have a sudden urge to jump or throw your phone. And most of the ones I get aren't necessarily like that. Most of the ones I get are like, you have this knife. What if you just jabbed it into your arm? Or here comes a school bus down the street. What if you just stuck your head on the ground? And
Hmm.
there are lots of theories as to why this happens.
Mm-hmm.
One theory that is that your brain senses a dangerous situation and it says like, hey, back away from the ledge, and then post reaction, because you react subconsciously, you just step back. Post reaction, you think, oh well, I must have wanted to jump. Like you kind of rationalize it in a reverse way.
It's interesting.
This funny when you read about it. They say it's because the wires in your brain are crossed. Like, oh really? You think this is a brain problem? Of course it is. Like, it's not natural to be up really high and think I should just take a header.
I should just Peter Pan off this cliff.
Yeah, but I've had it forever. Like, but it's with all kinds of stuff. Like, like I'm at a restaurant. And it's really quiet. I should just scream just to see what happens, or whatever. I should swerve at this car coming at me just to mess with them. Like, just it's almost like you're like neutral chaos.
So I've had this phenomenon as well. It happens not all the time, but definitely some of the time where, like you said, you're driving down the road and you're just like you think to yourself, "Oh, if I just went a little bit to the left, like it's kind of like that Brian Regan joke.
Yeah.
Like if I turn the wheel to the left, I'm on the front page of the paper. If I keep it going straight, I'm just a normal guy." Like it's just, you have a split second where you think about doing something bad to yourself. And then I found a website called healthline.com, and it says that people with more sensitivity to anxiety symptoms are more likely to experience this. And it says that more than half of the people who reported never having suicidal thoughts have experienced a high place phenomenon in some way, either, imagining jumping or having an urge to jump. Nobody knows for sure what causes it, but it's obviously, like you said, something tied to the brain, duh. So it seems like people who are like prone to be anxious or at least sensitive to situations or things that make them anxious use it, like you said, as like this like coping mechanism almost, or like survival instinct in a way. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's almost like an over analyzation of whatever's happening. Like your brain automatically goes, what if the worst thing happened? And usually a normal person either doesn't have that thought or they can kind of separate their reaction from it. But for some reason, people like me, I don't know, it's like you want to watch the world burn. Like, I'm on a roller coaster. Let's take my phone out and see if it'll balance on my knee. Like, it's weird. It's like almost like you're a disaster. You're making disasters happen. It's very strange. I've had it forever. I can't remember not having that, and I didn't know what it was called or how to even, look it up. Because like, what do you type in? Like, if you type in on Google, sometimes I feel like I wanna jump off a roof, they give you the suicide hotline, like,
Right.
no, I don't want to jump. What I'm saying is my brain is just like, "What if you jump, man?" And, like, it's completely irrational. So, it's fascinating that it's a phenomenon.
Well, Travis, why don't you help us wrap up here? Tell us what you're going to be playing this week, or do you have anything, any milestones or trophies or anything that you're looking forward to, or are you just playing some games?
One of the daily races on Gran Turismo this week is at Laguna Seca in the GR4 cars, which is one of my favorite tracks. And the GR4 car's fine. It's a little slower than the GR3, and it handles a little bit better because it's a little bit slower, a little bit better balance too. That's part of the reason they're not as fun to drive, is because the GR3 cars are a little bit more on the edge. But it's the first daily race they've had probably in a month that I'm actually interested in. They've been recycling a lot of races and a lot of classes, and if you kind of look at the timeline of when they started doing or when they really kicked into the new Gran Turismo production or the new design and all that fun stuff for the launch game, you kind of see the daily races kind of trail off into sort of this repetitive form. So I'm not surprised by that, but I am excited to at least give that a shot. It's been a little bit since I raced, and I'd be willing to bet that my pace is there. I'm probably just as quick, but I'm not going to be anywhere near as consistent. So I'll probably be quick for half a lap and then drive into the wall, and that happens. That's just part of it. Other than that, I'm again, if I can get myself off of Ghost of Tsushima, I will try that.
True.
It's just I'm having a lot of fun with that. I mean, I think I'm only like maybe 12 hours in or so. Maybe a
That's
little,
crazy to think.
yeah, maybe a little bit more. I'm not really sure. I kinda haven't been counting, and I don't think there's a mechanism for you to track it on the game, is there?
I don't think so. No, it's just crazy how much more we have left. You know what I mean?
You know, it's kinda like if I'm playing Uncharted, I've probably already beat it at this point. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep walking through that and, taking my time with it and wandering off and finding all the question marks, and like I told you earlier today, last night, Jen told me I needed to go check on somebody because I hadn't done the mission yet. So, because
You got way off.
I
You got
was
way
way
off
off.
base.
I was way off in the weeds, literally.
Yeah, you were way off. If the main character is telling you to snap out of it and get
Yeah,
your ass back to work.
love it. But anyway, yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Cool. So I think obviously continue playing Ghost of Tsushima as well this week. You and John are like way ahead of me, I think. So I've got some work to do. I got my work cut out for me there. We might mix in a little Modern Warfare one night if we need a break or something like that. We've been doing that some. I know that Jacob mentioned to me about playing some Dying Light tonight, maybe if I can stay awake, and you might join us. I don't know if you got your nap in or not. And then of course I'm going to be playing Red Dead Online every day, especially now that they're finally going to snap out of their bullshit and give us a big update. So real
Finally
excited about that,
finally got something to spend all that gold on.
dude. I have 921 gold bars and
Good lord.
and $33,500. I'm good to
That's
go.
outrageous. You'll be
I'm
able to
good to go.
buy whatever the new thing is, you'll be able to buy it.
I'll can buy it all. I can buy the next 6 updates probably.
You won't get 6.
I won't get 6. Then, I'm also going to try to dabble in a super secret game, Travis.
Oh, yeah.
I have a super secret game that I'm going to be playing this weekend that I can't speak about. I guess technically under a non-disclosure agreement. So, I'm excited to play that and see what that's about and how it's looking at this point, and if it's gonna be something that I'm gonna pick up, later on in the year. So
Does it rhyme with Biter Man?
It does not.
Oh, man.
It's a game that's it's just something from
The world?
uh, yeah, just from a galaxy, some other very very distant galaxy, let's
Hmm.
say. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I think we're done, man. That's all we got this week. We're done with the show. As always, if you guys liked what you heard, please rate us, review us, even if it's harsh. That's cool. Subscribe and share us with a friend. Again, we post every Sunday a new weekly episode where we discuss all things PlayStation. So thank you guys for joining us. Travis, thanks for joining me to record, and we will catch you all next time.